Hello there, and welcome back to Wild Theories. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Joe, also your host. For the uninitiated, Wild Theories toes a line between somewhat informational and somewhat game show.
The concept is simple. Each episode focuses on a specific subject, where each host will bring forth an interesting theory or story relating to that subject.
Each episode will also feature a guest whose job it is to decide at the end of this which one has supplied the most entertaining food for thought.
And the winner will get to decide the next topic for the next episode. Today, we're going to be talking about aliens.
And to help us discuss this subject, we have Connor, our friend Connor Webb, returning again for a second episode. Welcome back, Connor.
Well,
That's me.
We
Thank
love you,
you.
Connor.
Yeah,
Hear the
we're going
crowd.
crazy. I mean, first returning guest. I'm pleased to be, and yeah, I'm interested to discuss aliens as well because there has been sort of pretty significant kind of alien stuff in the news just in like the last, literally within the last few days.
I mean, as of recording, it's currently the 30th of July. The aliens haven't landed yet.
No, I've just seen it, and they have. Yeah, they're on the White House lawn. Yeah, and they're shaking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a bright
shaking
light
hands
outside.
with Joe Biden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see it. Who's that? Is that King Charles? Bloody hell. Look like one of them. Right, anyway,
But obviously, yeah, I mean, on the news, it was sort of...
Yeah, it's a...
was it declassified stuff, or was it just people coming out?
So, what it was an ex-military guy came forth and testified in Congress, basically saying that the US government, had non-human biological remains and wrecks of crashes of unidentified flying objects.
It's interesting, though, that like Congress would be taking this seriously.
Yeah, it's
like,
kind
that's
of...
a first. That's not heard of.
Yeah.
Really, just within the last couple of years, they've kind of started discussing it in a way that's not just an outright dismissal and saying that anyone that's seen something is crazy. They're kind of...
I feel like, especially now, like in the past, I don't think it would have nearly been conceivable. It would have been a missile. Whereas now, with like, especially like the war of Ukraine and stuff like that going on, tensions rising with China and North Korea as well as Russia, obviously, I feel like fear for like a nuclear missile or a missile flying is probably much more high. So it might be why they're taking it more seriously, to kind of like calm people down of unidentified. Plus, we had that spy balloon, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
That went by over continental America and got shot down.
Well,
Way
so
over budget kill, but...
So you mean they're like, oh, don't worry, guys, it's not actually the Russians. It's
just aliens. Maybe. It's America. It's backwards. Who knows? Who knows? But the thing I do find interesting about this is when you think about it, the words they use are very specific. They say it's an unidentified flying object, and it's an unhuman biological material. So that means it could be a bird, like a bird corpse, a bird strike, and just some guy who's duct taped together like a few wings and a propeller.
Alex, are you ready to roll D20?
Shit.
Got to decide who goes first here.
I'll Google.
The
Google,
sound
my
of
friend.
Alex opening that can, you should isolate that to use that as an ident noise. You know when you're editing and you want a little thing just to drop in, just to break up. If you're going from one topic and then it changes a bit in the edit and you want an ident, that's perfect.
Okay, I got one online. I'm gonna roll it. Ready?
Okay.
Oh, fuck. All right, go for it.
I got a 7.
I got 10.
Looks like you go first again.
Fuck's sake! Oh, damn it!
Do you want to do best of 3?
Fuck.
Actually, Alex, do you remember though?
No.
Did we not discuss at the end of the last episode? I think I promised I'd go first, didn't I?
I don't remember, but if you promise it, you're going first. You said it now. You're going first.
I feel like I did.
Well, every single time I've gone first and I've lost. Maybe I'll get half a point this time from pity. But you're going first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
You'll go first.
Fair. It's fair. Yeah.
I've decided. I'm also going to turn up my brightness a little bit. Again.
Well, I decided for my theory here to go with something that wasn't the basic obvious thing. So it's not really about aliens coming to Earth. It's more about the idea that we are in fact aliens, that humans don't originate from Earth but from somewhere else.
Oh God. That's freaky.
So basically the theory is that humanity started on Mars. So there's the more we begin to learn about Mars, the more we begin to sort of understand that it didn't used to always look that way. No, we know that Mars used to have water on it. We know that it was a very different environment, but at some point, some kind of cataclysmic event happened. So this kind of holds this idea of like we see humanity doing with the Earth now, that Mars was destroyed by human progress and humanity had to leave in order to come here to Earth. Otherwise they would die. There's a few little things that are kind of... Hang on, give me a second.
Does that mean Venus is next? When we destroy this one, we're going to pop over to Venus.
Well, no, I think it's more that Earth had a habitat that was somewhat viable.
Oh, this is our last chance.
It was, at the time, it was similar to Mars. Not exactly the same, but similar. And so the idea also kind of exists with this thought that we, as humans, we're not really physically perfectly evolved for the planet that we're on. Compared to a lot of animals out there, we're not really physically that good.
Explain.
Well, for example, right?
Yeah.
We have to be careful in the sun. Too much sun exposure is not good for us. Radiation.
Okay, counter argument to that. With that, if we're born in climates with more sun, we're more resistant to it. That's why, Africa, black people near the equator,
but
people,
you can still get cancer from radiation of too much sun exposure. It
that's
doesn't
just
matter.
A skill issue.
Skill issue. Our bodies have been able to evolve and adapt to living in areas with higher sun exposure, but that's the point, right? It seems like we've had to specifically evolve in order to handle the kind of exposure that we have here on Earth. I mean, also the fact that the sun does seem naturally as though it's maybe a bit bright for us. I mean, the fact that humans seem to want to wear things like sunglasses all the time.
They're just
fashionable. It's almost as though...
I love my sunnies.
Sunglasses are not... They don't exist primarily for fashion.
What do you mean?
So...
This is blasphemy.
I see what you're saying with humans aren't that well suited and not the most robust creatures physically, I suppose, compared to a lot of animals. But
yeah, other creatures have evolved to be much more like just physically better than we have. It's almost as though mentally we've evolved quite well, but our bodies have more degraded than anything else compared to...
I guess that's kind of the kind of payoff for having big old brains and thinking and having quote unquote sentience, but then also having the technology to basically cushion ourselves. Because think about it, evolution, you evolve for the sake of survival. Like bare bones, this is what you have, and this is what you need. If you don't have it, you're dead. But in this age where we have so much medicine, technology, basically a giant cushion for us. It's if you don't have it, yeah, you might be a bit uncomfortable, but you'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, that's literally the explanation for why physically we're not as strong as other apes, for example. I mean, we know, for example, some of us have tailbones, but the more time has passed by, the less and less people are born with the specific bone down there. And there's other areas like that where you can see evolution in humans. Even now, things change because we don't need tails anymore. Doesn't mean that a tail wouldn't be useful. I mean, if we had tails, that would be pretty useful, but we don't
would it though?
require tails to survive.
I mean, it's bloody annoying.
It's an extra appendage. You fall over, you can use your tail to grab something.
I mean, yeah, but like,
stop
I do that with my face, you know, and like mostly things get tails for balance. I mean, I'm a bit wonky, but that's a different thing. I mean, you balance well, I hope, for the sake of this argument, but you know, I don't really feel like we need a tail. It's just gonna get in the way, you know. You gotta pull up your boxers. Oh, fucking tail in the way. Can't do that. Now you're walking around straight naked. What are you gonna fucking do now?
You're really on the offense for this one, aren't you?
Yeah, I really want to win this one.
Right, so with this, the main question has to be, so let's go along with the idea that humanity originated on Mars and evolved on Mars. How did we get to Earth?
Right. Yeeted ourselves with a giant catapult.
Okay, so there's two potential ways that humanity could have originated on Mars. Now, there's the more exciting one of that we were an advanced civilization. We were on Mars. We developed spaceflight, much like we have now. We've been able to transport ourselves at least as far as Earth. And when we came to understand that Mars was no longer going to be viable, we started to slowly begin to colonize Earth as a plan B. But at some point, the technology has become lost to us. I mean, these are theories that exist around the pyramids and things like that, that maybe some advanced civilization constructed this. And then we went through some period of dark age where this technology was lost to us. So that's one explanation, I suppose. The other explanation is very different. The other explanation is it's kind of a cheat here, because it's saying that the material that we are made of originates from Mars, but we evolved on Earth. So the idea being that Earth was a barren place until it was seeded by Mars. And
so what you're saying is Mars fucked the Earth.
Essentially, like
9 months later, humans.
A piece of Mars broke off, landed on Earth, and from that, life,
like bacteria
sprang.
And stuff.
Yeah, and from bacteria, eventually, the animals, the
that
plants,
does have some science behind it. To be honest with you,
that's a very possible way of how Earth
there
came to be the way it is.
There's some microorganisms that they found really resilient, and what they've done is they shot them. I think I can't remember where they shot them, but they shot them in space, took them back. They were perfectly fine, and they were still living and walking around. So technically, if they were on Mars and a bit of Mars flew up, it would technically work, I guess.
Yeah.
So it does have the grounds of science there, at least to my science.
Something here that I did read that I've made a little note of was that back in 1984, there was a meteorite discovered in Antarctica that had actually broken off from Mars and hit the Earth about 4 billion years ago. And this meteorite, it had fossilized microbes on it. So there was life in that meteorite. So that could very well have been the meteorite that life sprung from.
But isn't there the whole thing of like life kind of came from Africa, and like Africa's the like kind of heartland of the Earth?
Yeah, because supposedly when all the continents were connected, was it called Pangea?
Yeah. Yeah,
Africa
that's
was kind of the center of that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. All the continents were connected, but also in terms of Africa being like where life begun, I believe the first human, or at least humanoid remains have been found in Africa. But that doesn't mean that is going to be the first. A few thousand years from now, we might discover a skeleton somewhere else. That's just the oldest one we've found so far.
Yeah,
it also doesn't mean...
Who's going to stop people from planting it, Joe? What say you take a shovel, you go down to Antarctica right this instant, get old granddad out of the coffin, put him deep down. Oh god, guys, look, I found a discovery. I'm just saying, can't be doing that, Joe. Like,
well, that's one possibility. And also going back to this idea of humans, in fact, existed on Mars, started there, moved here. I think an explanation for us having lost technology is, say, what we had on Earth back then was nothing short of a small colony, 100 people maybe. Think about it today. With the level of technology that we have, we've become so reliant on things like the internet. Even outside of the internet, things like books. I mean, basic skills for being able to build things. I mean, I don't know about you. I cannot build a spaceship.
I feel like I could figure it out. I feel like if you put the materials in front of me and we're like, have a crack at it, I'd be like, all right. I feel like I'm able to make something like a space raft.
Say on Earth, let's say that this is a situation that happens on Earth, right, where a small community of maybe 100 people are the only people left remaining, and everyone else dies. They're gone.
Good riddance.
Well, civilization would go back in time at that point. We would lose technology because
we would
people
have to
that exist
it.
wouldn't. Yeah. So that would be the explanation of how we go all the way back to the beginning of very basic technology and have to start from the beginning.
I mean, sometimes you just need a reset. And if that involves genocide in most of your species, probably don't go ahead with it.
And this fits into like quite a commonly held theory as well of the reason why we're yet to discover aliens is that eventually aliens, like any civilization, will eventually reach its peak of technology where it then kind of just implodes on itself.
What if we're a lost fragment of an empire?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're just the remains of something that managed to just linger on and then start again.
God, that's a shit feeling, isn't it? Way to make me feel good about myself.
How does...
Yeah, but then you could say you're an alien. That's pretty cool.
Well done. You just managed to survive. Fuck off.
So the part of Mars being able to break off and land on Earth, you said that has happened. That's documented. Is it Antarctica? Did you say that?
In Antarctica, but we've also had various other meteorites that have obviously hit the Earth and they've had life on them. Usually it doesn't happen. Usually the life will die long before it reaches Earth, but it is possible. It has been proven to be possible.
What about the moon? Because obviously you know how the moon being like part of Earth that went up into space. Would that...
Wait, what?
Isn't that the kind of thing, like a bit of the Earth kind of flew up into...
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that theory.
I don't actually know.
I've heard a theory. I don't know if it's true or not. I've just heard it, and I guess I've just kind of taken it as true. Because I'm like, whoa.
I heard it was made out of cheese.
I think that's a kind of prevailing theory, I think, of how planets get moons, is that they're hit by meteorites, and that causes damage, and part of the surface can break off.
Yeah.
And then it will kind of drift off, but get stuck in the gravitational pull. And then that's essentially where the moon came from.
And then the moon becomes our asteroid shield, which is a cool bit of science. It's actually very, very cool.
But I don't understand how part of... Like, obviously it's true and has happened, but how part of Mars can break off and then land on Earth? Why is it...
I think it's probably something along the lines of a piece of Mars has... Because obviously meteorites are pieces of planets. So if something's collided with Mars, a piece of Mars could have been lost.
Okay.
True.
When that happens.
Plus, Mars is a lot smaller than the Earth. It doesn't have quite the same gravity to it.
A nearby planet with a stronger gravitational pull could...
I suppose
some kind of
Plus, it kind of be drifting towards the sun as well, and that has a big old pull.
We definitely know, like I said, at some point Mars did have some kind of cataclysmic event that completely changed its surface.
Yeah.
It didn't. It used to be different, so that maybe it was the event that I don't know, but
my finger slipped on the nuke button. I apologize about that.
I don't purport to know much about that sort of stuff. I find it very interesting, but
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how. All I know is apparently it's widely held the belief that this is a piece from Mars. I'm guessing perhaps soil samples or something's been able to prove that that's where it came from.
Okay. So before we move on to Alex's theory, are there any closing points for you to make, Joe?
Any closing points? Probably not.
I've just decided this is a format point where I sort of just ask you to check.
Yeah.
Feels like I'm in court.
Closing argument.
Guilty. Sentence him to give half his points to me.
Moving over to Alex then.
Right.
What have you got for us today?
Well, you did mention it. Went for Antarctica. And there's a whole load of theories about that place. Let me tell you. And a lot of them are aliens. So, obviously, you already mentioned, like, the asteroid hitting it. So I won't even go over that, because just stole my thunder there. That's
the same thing, then? The asteroid from Mars?
It was part of it. It has potential to, like... Because I like the idea of, like we sent these organisms. I can't remember the name of the organisms, but they can literally survive space travel. They can survive sub-zero temperatures, little to no oxygen in like the air around them. They go into kind of like a stasis, and then they just come out and it's like, hey yo, what's up? How's it going? And they're just chill. They're just fine. So maybe something like that. Maybe maybe that's the aliens we're looking for. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's a genuine concern, isn't it? About about life that exists, sort of things like bacteria that exist,
parasites,
currently,
shit like that.
And with global warming, as the ice caps melt, it will potentially expose these things.
I saw this literally the other day. They revived a worm that was like when it's millions of years ago, came back to life. There was like 2 of them. They like repopulated so much within a day. There's over 100 generations already. And that was like the other day. It's like, well, fuck. Get the flamethrower, quick. But anyway, moving on. Enough about the worms. Enough about those weird organisms. Right. Where have I saved it? Where did I save it? Well, fuck it. We're not going from the save anymore. Should have been better prepared. So, Antarctica, as we know, is probably one of the last frontiers on Earth. Like, we've explored most places.
The final frontier.
The final frontier. Yeah. Exactly. You know, it's... I say it's pretty... I'm not sure when... Probably ages ago. We've, like, pretty much explored the entire surface of the Earth, right? We've explored every nook and cranny. However, we all know of Antarctica, right? But do we actually know Antarctica? Like, none of us, like, barely any of us have actually been
how
there.
Is Antarctica?
None of us have explored it. It's not colonized. Yeah, how is it feeling? You know, is it feeling good? Is it feeling alright? Is it depressed?
Shut up. Feel anything. It doesn't exist.
No, stop,
the
Alex
Earth
Jones.
is flat.
Alex,
it's
go away. Go away.
It's the ice wall.
Go away. Fuck off, Alex Jones. Right. Anyway. Fucking hell. So we don't actually
Turn
know
the frogs gay.
Right, I swear to God. We don't actually know a lot about Antarctica. We know of it, we know of its existence, but you can visit it. It's pretty expensive. You have to go through certain processes, but you can only go to Antarctica on a very specific part of the island during very specific months. I believe it's November to like March. You're allowed to go. Otherwise, you're not, and I think you're only allowed on like the icy parts of it, not the actual continental part, like the actual bit that is land. And that's the thing. We still don't know quite a lot, at least publicly. We don't know a lot about actually actual physical continent itself. A lot of it is just ice, covered in ice and everything like that. And what I do find quite funny about this, I love to joke about this, is so Antarctica, right, was split. They signed a treaty, the Antarctic Treaty, on the 1st of December 1959 in Washington. It included 12 countries. Boy, are these fucking random countries. So you got governments of like Argentina and Chile. They're quite close to it. You know, South America, quite close. That kind of makes sense. Australia, Belgium, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, the Soviet Union, or I guess modern day Russia, United Kingdom, United Kingdom, Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and the United States of America. First of all, the fuck is South Africa doing down there? Like, and Belgium? Like,
I mean, actually, I don't think any of those are particularly weird. When you think about it, South Africa is the southernmost country in Africa to Antarctica.
I mean, true, but like Belgium?
Isn't Belgium where the
Belgium's
UN
next
is
to
based? Isn't
Norway?
it? Norway is about the furthest north you can go before you hit Antarctica.
Joe,
New Zealand is one of the most southernmost countries to Antarctica as well.
I would really appreciate it if you just stopped being right for like 5 minutes. Let me corrupt his mind.
Norway is surely closest to the Arctic.
France and Britain have islands.
Shut up.
Well, at what point does the Arctic become Antarctica?
Well, they're on opposite.
It's basically the same thing, really.
Yeah, they're on opposite ends. Yeah,
the world's a circle. Well,
right.
It's flat. No, wait.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a globe.
You're done goof now.
It's
a donut.
It's the treaty so that no one country has claim to Antarctica. Yes. So kind of everyone has it, so no one has it. And it's kind of a...
Yeah. They've divided it up, and the point of this, right, so they divide it up, and they've actually left a decent, I'm not sure exact percentage, a good chunk of it completely unclaimed. No one's allowed to lay claim to it. It's completely left to be Mother Nature, you know, last frontier, all that shit.
All that liberal bullshit.
All that liberal bullshit we don't need.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
But obviously, some countries have
colonized.
Yeah, I want to see
affordable housing on it.
Fucking.
I mean, the first thing that we're going to get in Antarctica is a McDonald's. That's going to be number one.
Can't beat Mackey's, bro. All right. Anyway, stop distracting me, guys. Obviously, different countries, different percent. I think the largest percentage of Antarctica owned is actually by Norway. I think it's like 13% of Norway has like claim to it. And this is in 1959. Bear in mind, you know, Cold War.
It's
shit like that.
Cold,
and I would also like to point out. During World War II, it is very cold. It's the Cold War, obviously, but there was people there before. The Nazis actually did send a research team down there, and they were stationed on Antarctica. I don't really know too much about that, but basically, Nazis were there, big bad. So they had all those guys down there, and their promise was to be of like, we're setting these bases up for like research and, you know, environmental purposes. Research, I can understand. Environmental purposes, you can fuck right off. Do I believe that for a second? You're telling me 1959, where people do not give a shit about the environment, where bloody mustard gas a few years later on is being dumped on Vietnam's jungles and children and napalm and all that shit, and then they're like, hang on a second, guys. We need to think about Mother Nature here, like 10 years prior in Antarctica. I do not buy that shit for a second. That fucking they suddenly give a shit about the environment. So I do not care what you say.
What does any of this have to do with aliens, though?
Get into that.
He's setting the stage.
So obviously, a lot of people are idly claiming, "Yeah, I'm setting a stage show." Fuck off!
I've just realised you're wearing not only are you drinking Coca-Cola, but you've got a Coca-Cola hoodie on.
Gotta represent. I'm addicted.
Sorry.
I completely forgot where I was. Oh well.
You were setting the stage.
So yeah, Antarctica. Yeah, I'm setting the stage. So I do not care. It's not for environmental purpose. Maybe research, but you don't really need to like claim for that. You can. There's multiple, probably more efficient ways you can go about research bullshit or whatever. Right? Simple. UN territory. Yeah. Fuck off. Either way, not going to go into that. It's politics. It's gay. If it's not for environmental purposes, which I do not believe it is, and obviously probably research, what are they? I get obviously natural life, but what other things are there? And here's the thing: to this day, Antarctica is only inhabited by about, I think it's 4,000 to 8,000 people. A lot of those is research personnel, science personnel. But surprisingly, a large majority.
Aliens.
Get into that. But surprisingly, a large majority of that as well is also military personnel. Why do you need military personnel there?
To fight the penguins.
That's the only reason. Unless Pingu's got a bloody AK-47, got a bandana and a suicide vest on, you don't really need military personnel over there, do you? What are they hiding? What are they doing over there with military personnel? Because
maybe the Nazis, the Nazis never left. Maybe they've
no, the Nazis did leave
themselves.
The Nazis left eventually.
That's what they want you to know. Maybe they established themselves there.
Right. This is a whole different episode. We're not going into that right now, okay? Jesus Christ. But yeah, so either way, military personnel. I've been sent there. There's actually a surprising amount of military personnel that have actually come forth, a lot of which have kept their identity hidden, saying that aliens exist and governments of the world know about it. They're hiding it from us, and there's aliens around. Multitude of those are coming from Antarctica. And one even came forth, I think it was in 2003, the History Channel even did a documentary about this. And the guy came forth, his nickname was Spartan, because he kept his identity secret. And he basically said he was stationed there, and one day they were going out, I think on a patrol, and they spotted this giant black metal, kind of metallic structure in the snow, protruding from the continent. All right? And you got numerous people saying this, numerous people saying there's loads of, shit going around. I haven't really seen much proof to deny, but also if there's this many people saying it, I kind of feel like there's got to be some truth in it to some degree, because there's loads of people coming out, obviously a lot keeping their identities hidden, but also the fact they're sending military personnel out there. What are they doing up there? If it isn't guarding some kind of aliens or some bullshit, are they researching them there? Are they trying kind of like an Area 51 situation? Are they?
Do you know about the pyramid thing?
Yeah, they spotted a pyramid up there as well, didn't they? Yeah.
Well, it's like people began to spot that there was a mountain that just was a perfectly shaped pyramid.
Yeah, and so they're finding all these weird things.
It's so symmetrical, and there's no explanation for it. We just get told that oh yeah, that's it's just happened to form that way. That's it can happen. It's
so a numerous kind of thing is that it's actually like a kind of outpost or an alien kind of base headquarters there, and they kind of go from. And I actually got a date here. I didn't get the exact date, but in August 2012, there was reported above Antarctic Research Station, there was a blurry floating object that just kind of hovered above there for a few hours and then fucked off. What's that about? I know we said before about the kind of whole alien thing and ship, and it could be some Jerry. I don't know who the fuck is jerry rigging a bloody unidentifiable flying object or drone in bloody Antarctica. So, what's that about? I feel like it has more truth being up there. Maybe it is. You know what? Maybe maybe Hitler's still alive and he's still down there commanding a goddamn alien race of space Nazis. Who's to say? What I'm basically trying to get across is probably aliens down. I don't fucking know. Military personnel, Antarctic treaty countries. My head hurts.
Okay.
Wow.
lot to digest there. So the idea being that the reason that there's so many that the military details are there to keep the guard and keep secret some sort of alien presence that's hidden there.
That's what I think. Yeah, like why else would they have military personnel there? Because on the Atlantic Treaty, the Antarctic Treaty, they've like said like this is for peace. We're gonna have completely peace, but yeah, they're being like, yeah, we're gonna have peace, but we're also gonna station military assets there. Why?
I mean, the explanation could simply be, although there isn't any kind of conflict there, if they are researching things, and it could be alien things that they're researching it, but if they are researching things and you've got multiple countries, perhaps the military is simply there to guard whatever.
Wouldn't it be a better idea to have a UN like peacekeeper task force instead?
What's a peacekeeper task force going to do? Someone tries to break in and steal your information?
Keep the peace. I don't know. I feel like it would make more sense, especially if it's going to be across all the board, instead of having all these separate military systems and doctrines and personnel. Why not just have the UN come in? And I feel like they might as well do that if they're already going along the lines of the UN with the Antarctic Treaty. You might as well just go the extra step and be like, all right, UN's going to station troops up there.
I mean, it's a good point. I mean, look at the space station, right? Like, we don't have military there.
Yeah,
it's shared by multiple countries.
Outlawed. Like, no space
why
weapons.
Why does it not work the same? It's a good point.
Yeah. Please don't pick apart my theory. Please. I've spent so long researching this. Please. I was up all night. I can't bother me anymore. I already know Joe's.
Are there any rumours or speculation or theorizing that anything has leaked? If we're entertaining this theory, let's go with it. Say it's true. Is there anything that's come out where it's like, oh, this is leaked, or?
Well, kind of going on with back to the guy Spartan.
Yeah,
I was saying about earlier back in the documentary, when they spotted it, they actually obviously went up to the structure and they kind of examined it. They found out the walls were like feet thick, of like a material very durable, almost like steel. However, apparently they actually opened it. They like touched it, and when they touched it, it kind of effortlessly floated open, like kind of like an automatic door would. You go near it, and it opens, kind of like that. It just kind of opened, and it revealed.
So it was a Tesco.
Maybe shit. It's an alien Tesco. Yeah. That's what it was. Fuck. I want to go now.
So explain. Sorry, mate. I've picked it apart.
Yeah, actually, fair enough.
It's a Nazi
alien Tesco. It kind of makes sense. Nazis and the kind of black design and yeah. You know what? And no one was showing their faces around because it wasn't an Aryan there. They didn't like him. They didn't want to say hello. Being awfully racist. Fuck, it all makes sense now.
Maybe.
Shit. And where would they be able to afford all this stuff? The Nazi gold they kept hidden. Yeah. You know what? You just picked it. Maybe the Nazis are aliens. Like, in themselves. Maybe Hitler was an alien. He had one bollock. Could be.
So does Nigel Farage.
Yeah, but let's be honest. He's definitely an alien. Have you seen his mug? He's definitely some sort of lizard person.
He does kind of look like his face doesn't quite fit.
It doesn't quite add up, does it? Plus, he's awfully racist, just like Hitler was.
You know how you get those like really human, like realistic looking masks, and you put them on, but you can
and it
still
kind of stretches. Yeah,
it doesn't look quite right in like the neck area. That's the Farage look.
So anyway, I think we can all agree Antarctica plays a massive part.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Antarctica to be so involved in these discussions. That took me by surprise.
I kind of think it's kind of cool because it's like the last frontier, and obviously as well as them having like the Antarctica divided between those countries, there's also a large part of it that is supposedly completely you can't go to. And obviously you can visit Antarctica, but you can only visit certain times of the year on a certain part of the island, which is heavily like regulated. And it's like you can walk here, but you're not allowed to like touch anything. You can observe, you can look, but you can't go on.
Okay.
Why? Maybe it's a giant mothership. Maybe it's the flood from Halo. Who knows? Could be. Who knows? You know what? At this point, it can be. My head hurts so much now.
Well,
I hate this.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say I found both of them interesting. They were both quite unexpected. I was anticipating sort of more to do with like more of your classic UFO sort of activity, probably stuff in America and the US government, and more of a Roswell kind of vibe. So the fact that Antarctica featured in both of yours, I found that
very interesting.
Yeah, that was not intentional. I didn't think we were both going to talk about Antarctica, but there you
go. The idea that aliens are being kept secret in Antarctica, it's an interesting concept, but overall I found Alex's vision a bit vague, a bit I'm afraid to say.
Just not seeing the full picture, man.
It's probably
just not seeing the full picture.
Sort of thing to communicate. And I think Joe's is just more. It has like more of a catchy poster sort of tagline. Imagine the movie poster.
Yeah, it's just meant for Hollywood storyline. It ain't about aliens. This is about us and where we came from. Fucking evolution, mate. Fuck off. What? Down to Charles Darwin's book. You already done that.
I was going to make a film out of it.
Imagine the poster, because it would say, "What if we ... are the aliens?" And if people would be like, "Oh,
men are from Mars.
From Mars as well.
Women are too."
Well, what about the kids? Mercury. Little shits came from there.
So for that reason, I think I'm going to have to give Joe the point, I'm afraid.
His wasn't even about aliens, though.
Yeah.
It was about us. Charles Darwin, he already said that.
We are the aliens.
Don't you fucking start. No.
Or I suppose we're not the aliens. Everything on Earth is alien to us.
Oh, God.
Everyone's alien to someone. That's why I hate foreign people. First of all, before I ask you the question, I'll just say that this question is a guess the date, as in the year, question. And so if you know the year, if you get it bang on and the other person doesn't, then obviously that person gets the point. If neither of you know it, then it will be point to the person that's closest. So I think it's fair to say that the single most famous iconic alien-based event in popular culture has to be the Roswell incident, regardless of if there's any truth to it whatsoever. I think it's fair to say that is the biggest sort of UFO tentpole
it's the biggest
event in popular culture.
Yeah.
If you go to Roswell, everything there is like everyone's trying to flog you it's an alien-based economy. It's like, come and get your alien, your UFO. But my question to you, as you've probably worked out, is in what year did the supposed Roswell event happen? Which, if you're a believer, you would say is a UFO crash landing on the site.
I want to say, I'm just going to guess a random date here. and it's so. Just so I understand, it's Joe. Don't you Google this, by the way. I'm gonna say it's whoever's closest, right? If we don't get it right, it's whoever's closest.
So are we going for just the year or the
year.
exact day?
6.
Okay.
Yeah, 6. No, I'm joking. 19. I want to say 1961.
Okay. I actually do know what the year is, and I was being nice here and letting you go first, but it's 1947.
It is indeed 1947. That is a big, fat, well-rounded point to Joe, I'm afraid. I don't want to make it worse, Alex, but...
I'm sorry, Alex.
Get fucked.
Hey, I keep giving you chances here. I gave you 2/3 of a point.
Why
I let you go first.
That? Why do you know that? Why is it in what? Why is this
That's interesting
bit of information here you have it saved in your like internal database? Are you a robot? Are you a Terminator? Do you like plug into the wall and charge?
No.
Up?
Okay.
Fucking USB.
The reason why I know the year is because there's a band called Hypocrisy, and they have a song about Roswell, and he keeps saying 1947 constantly through that song.
Not even through fucking research,
it's just
by music.
That's into my brain.
People know things. Most of the things I know isn't from research. It's because they were in an episode of The Simpsons.
I'm so fucking dumb. Fuck.
Yeah,
consume media, Alex. That's how you learn.
But we've.
Fuck's sake.
Alex, I think this might have to be. I think this might have to be the last episode because Alex has had enough. I don't think he can. I don't think
this is breaking him, isn't it?
It's not even for fucking proper information. For fucking Simpsons.
Is this Alex's arc? Has he got a character arc going on where he becomes broken?
Alex.
He sort of starts off quite a normal young man, and then by the end of this podcast series, he's like Gollum. Yeah.
So yeah, and if anyone's actually made it to the end of this podcast once again,
congratulations.
Hats off to you.
Go see a doctor.
You are an incredible human being.
You're definitely an alien.
If you are in fact human, that is. See you again in the next episode for what was it we decided again? Oh yes, AI Uprising.
It'll be great. Woo!
That has to be your least conspiratorial episode, I think.